Hey guys, what's up? BT Moto, come on in here. We got a 2026 Triumph Speed Triple RX. This is the new RX model that costs about $1,500 more than the RS model, which was the premium model before the RX came out. The RX features a few things the RS doesn't have, which it has some carbon bits on the sides of this and carbon on the front of it. It has an Akrapovic muffler that comes directly and made from Akrapovic. It has a new triple clamp up here with clip-ons, and these are all billet nice pieces. So these clip-ons are wider and deeper into the motorcycle to give you more of leverage on the steering head, number one, but to give you more feel of the actual ride through the forks on the motorcycle as well. So they've done quite a few things on this to differentiate it from the RS. So this bike is $21,500. That's actually not a bad deal for what you're getting here. And I'll do some comparisons later to the S1000R, KTM, and a few other brands that are comparable to this exact motorcycle after we get done tuning here. Now also keep in mind, it will be the first tuned Speed Triple RX or Speed Triple for 2026 period tuned in the world. No one else has done this yet. So the Speed Triple is a 3-cylinder engine bike, okay? Just 3 slugs in this thing. It's 1160 cc's, which makes it a little cut above the actual 1000cc limit we usually compare these motorcycles to, but also doesn't make it out of the realm of the KTM 1390 or the Panigale V4 at 1103 cc's. The Speed Triple also comes with the Öhlins EC3 suspension. It's semi-active with a damper control. And as far as electronics go, we're dealing with something that kind of reminds me of an MV Agusta. The TFT looks cool. It looks like aesthetically like almost like an Iron Man display, but the actual lag you see on the screen isn't that great. I'm noticing there's a lot of cuts. It's not fluid like you see on S1000R, like you see on the new Ducati, for example. It's just kind of clunky, but it does have a lot of good stuff on it, meaning custom rider modes, a user rider mode that you can customize yourself, track rider modes. The only thing that's really annoying to me is if you ever disable the traction control, every single time you turn the motorcycle on, you have to disable it again and again and again, or it keeps on being active, and it's annoying to go to the menu to turn it off every single time. This also comes with Bluetooth connectivity, cruise control, and 180 claimed horsepower with 94 foot-pounds of torque. All right, so now we got the boring spec stuff out of the way. Let's go ahead and get this thing running on the dyno and see exactly what she does stock. All right, guys, and we got our stock numbers here for the Triumph Speed Triple RX 1200, and we are dealing with a maximum of 163 wheel horsepower with 89 foot-pounds of torque. And you can see this is a very linear curve. I'm not seeing a whole lot of restrictions on this motorcycle. The only thing I'm seeing is we're getting all the way up here to about 10,500 RPM, which is about our peak. And then you can see right here it starts trailing off when this bike is still climbing. So I think adding a little bit of RPM to this will actually make our peak number go a little bit higher, and I think we can get some more power here in the mid-range as well, or upper mid-range on the bike. So as far as the comparison goes, I'm gonna compare it to something that's directly comparable to, which is gonna be an S1000R stock. Stock fifth gear pull on this. So let's check that out real quick. Okay, and we have our single R here in blue, and we have the RX or the Speed Triple here in red. And you can see the Speed Triple stock for stock. Again, keep in mind, stock tuning on both of these vehicles. We have the Triumph making a lot of power. Let's see the bottom end here, even down here, 4,000 RPM. This is regular riding stuff right here. We're making 16 more wheel horsepower and over 10 wheel torque here, and it just keeps pulling and pulling all the way to redline. Now, the only saving grace the BMW has is a little bit more redline. And I mean, honestly, we're pushing that thing all the way to about 11.3 stock or 11.5, it looks like, till it starts nodding off. And then right here, we're dealing about 10.7 as indicated here. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is tune the motorcycle, and then we'll see what the two numbers do against the stock restrictions, and we'll do a few other comparisons as well. Okay, so we got our two numbers here. So check this out. We have our two numbers in red here for the Speed Triple RX and the stock numbers here in blue. And you can see we are making a lot more power. We're going from 177 over that 163, and we gain 3-wheel torque as well. And at redline here, you can see the vast difference. So it's not just what we're seeing here at peak number, and peak number, it's also right here at redline. Look at this, that's 12-wheel horsepower. That is 6-wheel torque. And then we're carrying this RPM band 1,000 more, and it still wants to go even further, but we're gonna leave it there at 1,000. And you can see across the entire range here, we're making 1 to 2 wheel horsepower the entire way. It really starts separating here about 8,000 RPM and starts coming apart. Even the torque, we're not missing anything from doing tuning on this motorcycle. We also tried a few other things to make power on the motorcycle. So I put a DNA air filter in. We removed the snorkel from the front of the bike. We did our velocity stack, some experimental ones. We even changed the top of the airbox lid so it removes a part of the air dampening, all to try and make the most power we possibly can on the motorcycle. And you know what we found? The stock configuration works the best. So we're not gonna try to push off parts on you that don't work. The velocity stacks, we're not making as much power as stock velocity stacks up top, so we're gonna have to re-engineer it. But as for right now, our velocity stacks are not working at the moment. But we're seeing some really good gains here across the entire RPM range. Now let's do some other comparisons. Let's start with the single R. Okay guys, so we got all the numbers up here for the S1000 single R. Now keep in mind that we have the red pass is going to be our speed triple. The blue pass is going to be our S1000 single R, but with no velocity stack. And the green pass is going to be a stock single R with our BT Moto velocity stacks. So those are the 3 comparisons we have here. And you still see the speed triple is carrying above both of those. The only thing the S1000 single R is winning on is going to be RPM. And again, that's with the addition of our velocity stacks to make this number here. Without the velocity stack, this is the S1000 single R in blue and green. It's making absolutely no power. In the mid-range and everything are about the same, except down here, you can see right here about 3,000 to 4,000 RPM. That Triumph is just making all kinds of power over the single R and just keeps carrying. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, unless you're at the track and you have velocity stacks, that's the only way the S1000 single R is keeping up with the speed triple. So that's an interesting comparison. Now let's go ahead and compare this to the KTM Super Duke. Okay guys, now we have the KTM here in blue and we have the speed triple here in red. The KTM 1390 is doing what a 1390 is gonna do. It's just an obscene amount of horsepower and torque till it's really early red line. They're at about 10.9 or so. It really just kind of hits a wall. And then you see the speed triple keep on carrying. Now, I will say from the review video I've done with the 1390, it's an absurd bike. It's almost laughably fast with torque. I mean, it is so much power. In all honesty, I'd probably rather have a speed triple rather than that KTM, unless you just like absurd amounts of torque, because that's what the KTM is, just stupid power. It's a Hoonigan bike. It's made for that kind of stuff. It's made for just wheeling down the street and just making power everywhere. It's so absurd. In fact, I have the full review video if you guys want to see it there on the top right. And if we're going to the track, you can see the speed triple is going to carry over this thing, and probably at the track where this area matters, the speed triple is probably taking it over the KTM if we're talking about a track setting. But street riding, stuff like that, stoplight to stoplight, the KTM is just so much more torque and horsepower. There's no replacement for displacement. Before we close this thing out, I just want to kind of go over with you guys what we've done to this motorcycle, because it's more than just power. We focus on overall rideability. That's kind of what our hallmark is, and that's why we do ride videos, and that's why we have that full speed triple 1200 video that I've done a couple years ago. This is the same engine, so it's going to be very comparable. Now on this motorcycle, we've done the same thing we've done in the previous model, which means we've done a lot of tip-in stuff, meaning we went through the dyno and did 20%, 50%, 75% throttle, just to make sure the tip-in and overall feel of the motorcycle is going to be perfect when you ride it with no issues, not just a wide open throttle map that feels good, but it feels bad everywhere else. And we worked on throttle response. We worked on engine cooling, torque limiters. There's a few other things that we work on in the background that most tuners wouldn't even touch, to be honest with you. And that's just us being OCD about overall rideability and reliability on the motorcycle itself. We even pulled off the slip-on on this motorcycle to see if there's going to make any power, and it didn't make any power, but you know what? We at least tried it to see if we can make power for you guys. And like I said before, we pulled off the snorkel, we changed the velocity stacks, we changed the top of the airbox. We were trying all kinds of things to try and make a little bit more power for you guys, and we were 100% honest when we say we couldn't make any more power. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.